Kurt Erdmann. Kurt Erdmann, 9 September 1901, Hamburg, 30 September 1964. He is best known for his scientific work on the history of the Oriental rug, which he established as a subspecialty within his discipline. From 1958 to 1964, Erdmann served as the director of the Pergamon Museum, Berlin. He was one of the protagonists of the Berlin School of Islamic Art History. Life. Erdmann started studying German literature in 1919, but soon developed a deeper interest in European art history. His PhD thesis in 1927, tutored by Erwin Panofsky, was about European architecture. He then went on to an apprenticeship at the State Museum in Berlin, where he was invited by Friedrich Saar to join the work on his publication, together with Hermann Trenkwald, about ancient Oriental carpets. Erdmann's scientific interest remained with Oriental rugs throughout his entire career. From 1958 until 1964, Erdmann was head of the Museum of Islamic Art, Berlin, a department of the State Museums of Berlin, today the Pergamon Museum. He also worked as a professor at the universities of Berlin, Hamburg, Bonn, Cairo, and Istanbul 1951–1957. Erdmann was a member of the German Archaeological Institute. As head of the Berlin Pergamon Museum, he was responsible for the reconstruction of the Berlin Museum collections after World War II. The erection of the Berlin Wall further disrupted the collections of the museums of the divided city. Erdmann worked on the planning for the new Museum of Islamic Art, then in Dahlem, West Berlin, until his death. Work. Kurt Erdmann was the fourth in a succession of directors of the Museum of Islamic Art, now the Pergamon Museum, Berlin. Established by Wilhelm von Bode, whose work was continued by Friedrich Saar and Ernst Kuhnel, they were the protagonists of the Berlin School of the History of Islamic Art. This scientific school developed the terminus antiquem dating method, based on reproductions of Oriental carpets in Renaissance painting. Erdmann was the first to describe the four social layers of carpet production nomadic. He recognized the traditions of village and nomad carpet designs as a distinct artistic tradition on its own, and described the process of stylization by which, over time, elaborate manufactory designs and patterns were integrated into the village and nomadic weaving traditions. Until Erdmann published his studies, art historians influenced by the 19th-century Vienna school around a law regal used to understand the process of pattern migration from court and town to village and nomad as a degeneration. Consequently, art historians focused more on the elaborate manufactory rug designs, which they saw as the most authentic. Erdmann was among the first to draw attention to the village, tribal, and nomadic rugs as a distinct and genuine form of artistic expression. Erdmann also established the structural analysis, a means to determine the historical framework of rug weaving traditions within the Islamic world. The replacement of floral and foliate ornaments by geometrical designs, and the substitution of the earlier infinite repeat by large, centered compositions of ornaments, occurring during the turn between the 15th and 16th century, was first described by Erdmann and termed the pattern or carpet design revolution. While Oriental rugs and Sasanian art were his two main fields of interest, Erdmann also worked on a variety of other subjects, including Achaemenid art and Turkish roadside in architecture. His work at the Berlin Museum resulted in publications on groups and single works of pre-Islamic and Islamic art, including detailed descriptions of acquisitions made by the Berlin Museum. Erdmann's books are still cited by present-time textbooks on Oriental rugs. Major publications. English. Oriental Carpets, an essay on their history. New York, 1960. Carpets East, Carpets West. Saudi Aramco World, 1965, p. 89. 700 Years of Oriental Carpets. London, 1970. The History of the Early Turkish Carpet. London, 1977. German. Persist Teppich der Safawiedenzeit. Pantheon N.R. 5, 1932, p. 227-231. Die Sassanidischen Jagdschalen. Untersuchungen zur Entwicklung der iranischen Edelmetallkunst unter den Sassaniden. Jahrbuch der preußischen Kunstsammlungen N.R. 57, 1936, p. 193-232. Ein unbekannt Sassanidische Jagdschale. Ibid. N.R. 59, 1938, p. 209-217. Zur Chronologie der Sassanidischen Jagdschalen. ZDMG N.R. 97, 1943, p. 239-283. Das Datum des Tag I-Busten. Ars Islamica N.R. 4, 1937, 79-97. Zur Deutung der iranischen Felsreliefs. Forschungen und Fortschritt N.R. 18, 1942, p. 209-211. Sassanidische Felsreliefs Römische Historien Reliefs. Antike und Bendland N.R. 3. De Gruyter, 1948. Die Entwicklung der Sassanidischen Krone. Ars Islamica N.R. 15/16, 1951, p. 87-123. Der Türkische Teppich des 15. Jahrhunderts. Istanbul, 1954. Written in German and Turkish K.E. and Hannah Erdmann, Das Anatolische Karavanserei des 13. Jahrhunderts. Gebruder Mann, Berlin, 1976. Die Universalgeschichtliche Stellung der Sassanidischen Kunst. Seculum N.R. 1, 1950, p. 508-534. Die Kunst Irans zur Zeit der Sassaniden. Florian Kupferberg, Berlin, 1943, 2nd ed. Kupferberg Verlag, Mainz, 1969. Persepolis, Dayton und Deutungen. Mdog zu Berlin, 92, 1960, p. 3147. Die Keramik von Frasiab. Berliner Museum N.R. 63, 1942, p. 1828. Islamische Bergkristallarbeiten. Jahrbuch der preußischen Kunstsammlungen N.R. 61, 1940, p. 125-146. New Islamische Bergkristall. Ars Orientalis N.R. 3, 1959, p. 201-205. Keramische Erwerbungen der Islamischen Abteilung 1958-1960. Berliner Museum N.R. 10, 1961, p. 615. Neue Erwerbungen Glaser der Islamischen Abteilung 1958-1961. Ibid. 11, 1961, p. 3141. Orientalische Teppich aus vier Jahrhunderten. Ausstellung im Museum für Kunst und Gewerbe, Hamburg, 22. August bis 22. October 1950. Hamburg, 1950. Arabische Schriftzeichen als Ornament in der Abendländischen Kunst des Mittelalters. Abhandlungen der Akademie der Wissenschaften und der Literatur in Mainz. Geschichts- und Sozialwissenschaftliche Klasse. Jahrgang 1953. N.R. 9. p. 467-513. Der Orientalische Knopfteppich, Versuch einer Darstellung seiner Geschichte. Verlag Ernst Wasmuth, Tübingen, 1955. Der Türkische Teppich des 15. Jahrhunderts. Istanbul, 1957. Europa und der Orientteppich. Verlag F. Kupferberg, Berlin/Mainz, 1962. K.E. and Peter W. Meister, Kaukasische Teppich. Exhibition Catalog Museum für Kunsthandwerk, Frankfurt 1962. 700 Jahre Orienteppich, zu seiner Geschichte und Erforschung. Hannah Erdmann, ed. Östliche Verlagshandlung, Herford 1966. Iranische Kunst in Deutschen Museen. Hannah Erdmann, ed. Posthumously, F. Steiner, Wiesbaden 1967. References